Yo, what is up, guys? You're watching Epic Pokemon TCG. In today's video, guys, what I got for you, we're going to be taking a look at a Lost March deck that features Froslass. Now, if you guys did miss my previous video, which was a straightforward Lost March deck, if you guys are interested in seeing that, you can go check that out at the end card of this video. But real quick, before we hop into things, guys, my upcoming schedule is going to be really hectic. I'm going to be really busy. So, yeah, I'm going to try my best to get videos out to you guys ASAP, as frequent as I possibly can. But yeah, it's going to be kind of hectic, and I'm actually already planning on doing another video after I do this one and trying to schedule that upload, for the upcoming future. So that way you guys do have some videos to watch. I think the next list I'm going to cover is going to be an Ultra Necrozma. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But without any further ado, guys, we're going to hop right into things here, taking a look, of course, at Jumpluff, which is probably going to be your main attacker in some cases in some matchups. But Jumpluff has Lost March. It does 20 for every single one of your Pokemon in the Lost Zone, except for Prism Star Pokemon. Now, I talked about it in the last video. I said that I'm not a big fan of Ditto in Lost March decks, but I'll kind of jump to why I think it's actually good in this one whenever I cover that card. But essentially, the idea for this deck is pretty simple, guys. Lost March has been out for a while. You just put Pokemon in the Lost Zone, hit for massive numbers, and you got all kinds of stuff in here that are going to help you out with that. Probably the main thing is going to be Skip Bloom. So Skip Bloom is going to do a couple things in this deck. It is going to immediately bring Jump Love Strat out of your deck and put it onto the field. So that means you get that bad boy ready to go right there. But also, whenever you use this ability, when you evolve from Hoppip and you play down Skip Bloom, use this ability and you put all cards attached to Skip Bloom into the Lost Zones. That means your Hoppip and your Skip Bloom are both going to go into the Lost Zone. Do not do the thing that I did the first time I ever really kind of messed with this deck. I did a video a long time ago, the first time I played Lost March, and that video was like semi-true. But I had a game previously that I attached energy to Skip Bloom, and I used the ability, and I completely forgot the energy went away. So don't do that. That's not a good idea. And then I left out of that game, and then that next following game was the one that was my first ever actual real game. But Skip Loom is just going to pretty much help you get some Pokemon in the Lost Zone. It's going to help you get your Jumpluff out immediately, and just kind of increase that damage output, which is really nice. Now I talked about Hoppip has Tackle in case you're short some numbers and such. I'm gonna try my best to make this video not as like generic and is the same as the last one because there is a little difference in here. But Trumbeak, this is probably where I'm going to say the same thing. Trumbeak is going to serve a few purposes in this deck. The first thing, of course, it is a disruption card. You can look at the top part of your opponent's deck and get rid of a supporter. It's also going to be in here to increase your damage output with Lost March. And also a really cool thing about this card is that you can use it for Lost Blender if you use the ability and you see that your opponent doesn't have a supporter card on top of their deck and you have a Lost Blender, you can just use Trumbeak as a Lost Blender pitch, to draw an extra card, which is really nice. Yeah, Trumbeak's just going to be in here for Mountain Pass. You're just going to be using this ability to kind of put him in the Lost Zone, and then, you can do more damage with Jump Bluff, which is really nice. And the next attacker we're going to take a look at is going to be Froslass. So Froslass is actually a really dope attacker. I like this card a lot. Has the attack Spiteful Sigh, put up the 7 damage counters on this Pokemon, and this attack does 20 damage for each damage counter you placed in this way. So if you put 7 damage counters on Froslass, that is going to be 120 or 140, excuse me, for 1 energy, which is really, really good. And if you hit a Fire type Pokemon, more than likely you're going to be knocking that sucker out. So that's just really good. Also has Icy Wind for 40. This can kind of be a soften up attack. Also, on top of that, it can put your opponent to sleep, which is really good and keep them asleep. If they're not able to get out of that, it's going to be 40 and you kind of slow down the game. But really, it's just going to be in here for Spiteful Sigh. It's just another type attacker. You can use Spiteful Sigh for those fire matchups, which is really good. And that's honestly a really bad matchup for Lost March, of course, because your main attacker is Grass. But Frostlash is just going to be in here for another attacker and just really helps you out, kind of like against specific decks, which is really good. I like Frostlash, but we're going to be running a 2-2 line of it in here. Now, the next card we're going to take a look at, of course, is going to be Mew. Now, I talked about this card in the last video, but I'm just going to go ahead and say the same thing. It has the ability Bench Barrier, so of course it is going to protect your bench, which is really, really helpful. And on top of that, with HPs being just gigantic now with the Tag Team GX Pokemon and everything, sometimes you're going to be short some numbers. I mean, it happens, unless you're just like you're blessed in every single game and you're just like going off and you're hitting those exact numbers pretty much like right off the bat. You are going to have matchups where you're just kind of short some numbers, or you can't exactly one-shot stuff, and if they retreat it and put it on the bench, well, that's where Mew's going to come in. Mew has Psi Power. You put 3 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. So that means if they have a really beat up Pokemon sitting on their bench, you can use Mew to just put some damage counters on it. And if if they're within range to knock out with Psi Power, this is really, really helpful. But Mew's going to be a couple It's going to serve a couple purposes in this deck. On top of that, of course, you can pitch it with Lost Blender if you don't really need it in the matchup for some reason. But nonetheless, guys, Mew is an overall very, very helpful card to have. Now I'm going to get to Ditto. So Ditto, I mentioned it in the last video. I said that I played Lost March initially with like I had Ditto in here. I didn't like it. I felt like the spot could be committed to something better. But with this deck, you actually have some use for it. You can evolve it into Froslass, or you can evolve it into Pidgeotto with Almighty Evolution. Pretty much, you can evolve it into any stage one. Very helpful. So yeah, Ditto can just kind of sit on your bench. You can evolve it into Skiploom, but only the Skiploom is going to matter in the damage output. But can get your jump up out and get that kind of sped up. But nonetheless, guys, Ditto can be in here for Froslass, or it can be in here for Pidgeotto if you're facing off against a deck that runs custom catchers, like for instance Reshizard. If they have a custom catchers in their deck or something like that, you can play down what is it, Snover. Yeah, Snorunt. I get Snorunt and Snover mixed up. My bad. But anyway, you can get one of those down, and you can play down a Ditto, and then you can just kind of be like, all right, you can custom catcher one, but you're gonna have to deal with the other one. So go for it, dude. But yeah, Ditto's gonna be in here just because it can help you out in certain scenarios, and it's just honestly a good card. And speaking of good cards, next up we're going to take a look at Pidgeotto. Now I know this card has actually been on the little bit of the disruption side because of other decks, but in this deck we're just going to be using to kind of increase the consistency. On top of that, Pidgeotto can be in here for just to pitch with Lost Blender. Same with Pidgey. Has the ability Airmail. It's pretty much Acrobike, except instead of discarding the other card you don't pick, you just put it on the bottom of your deck. But you can look at the top two cards, pick one, and then you can just put the other one on the bottom of your deck. Just kind of increases your consistency a little bit. Helps you find certain cards. And I feel like really that's just because Unit Energy is a card you really need to try to pitch out, hunt out, because or yeah, Unit Energy, just so you can attack for your Froslass. I like for a second, I thought I messed up because sometimes I call it Blend Energy, and then sometimes I'll call Blend Energy Unit Energy. So yeah, that's what I was like, crap. But yeah, I don't really know what the best Pidgey is. Yeah, I just picked one. You can pick whatever Pidgey you want, that's legal. Go for it. But that is going to do it for the Pokemon. Now we're going to take a look at the supporter cards. The supporter cards are still kind of a work in progress, to be honest with you guys. I like having 4 Elms Lecture for some reason. I just feel like that consistency is really nice whenever you don't open with like a massive like drop of just hop hips and such. I don't know. I just feel uncomfortable. We're going to be running 3 Elms Lecture. You can pretty much just search out your hop hips and your Skiplooms, your Ditto, your Pidgey, your Snorunt, your Mew. It can grab all kinds of stuff, which is very, very helpful. And another searching card for the hop pips and grass energy, of course, is going to be Netball. You can search for a basic grass or a basic grass energy card, which is really good. We also run 4 Cynthia. Honestly, in my opinion, still the best just all around supporter in the game. I feel like if you just compare this, for what it does, I feel like it's the best. So we're going to run 4 of those. And then judges in here. You never know when you might need to judge your opponent to kind of disrupt their hand a little bit. Kind of an idea. Just like something that I saw and I wanted to try. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, it's okay, but I feel like I would either cut that or a Pokegear for another Elms Lecture. That's just my personal preference. The same with the Tate and Liza. Tate and Liza is really good just because it has that switching effect. And on top of that, you can shuffle your hand to your deck and then draw 5. Tate and Liza is just really a flexible supporter that's been getting a lot of love since the new format has sprung up, which is really cool. But you can definitely do some things with Tate and Liza, which is really nice. And then I guess the next thing we need to take a look at is going to be Shrine of Punishment. Now, Shrine of Punishment is actually another card that I want to add another in this deck of, just because it really helps with your damage output. And if your opponent just can't replace that stadium, it just really sits there and racks up the damage over time, and it just really helps you hit specific numbers. Like if you're a little short or something like that, Shrine of Punishment can help you out a lot. Also, this is where Mew comes into. If you just had a Shrine of Punishment sitting on there for like 3 or 4 turns, you hit, you're a little short with damage with Lost March, you can really start using Mew to capitalize on the damage output you've been putting throughout the game, which is really good with Shrine of Punishment. Next up, we're going to look at Pokemon Communication. Now, Pokemon Communication is actually a very important item card in this deck. You do not at all want Jump Bluff in your hand. You do not want Jump Bluff in your hand unless you're going to Lost Blender it or something like that. That might come up, but you do not want it in your hand because you want it in your deck when you use Skiploom's ability. So Pokemon Communication is going to allow you to put your Jump Bluff back into your deck and then search for a Pokemon, so that way you can Floral Path to the Sky and get it out of your deck and put it onto the field. And then on top of that, it just allows you to search out Pokemon in general, which is really nice. And then Lost Blender is a really good card. You put 2 cards from your hand into the Lost Zone, so this could potentially be useless cards, or it can be Pokemon to increase your damage output, and then you just get to draw an extra card. Really, the extra card is really nice, but for the most part, you can use this to just increase your damage output. And then Pokegear is going to allow you to just look at the top 7 and grab a supporter, just kind of increases your consistency a little bit. Between Pokegear and Pidgeotto, whenever I do play this deck, it actually runs pretty well. And I think that's everything I needed to take a look at except for the energy. Of course, we run 4 grass energies because these are actually searchable with netball, and then we also run 3 unit energy, grass, fire, water. I guess I need to declare that, even though you guys can see the picture. But yeah, this is just in here, of course, for the grass and the water. Of course, grass is going to be used up by Jumpluff, and then the water is going to be used up by Froslass, and then hey, fire is just there because it's cool. Yeah, this is going to allow you to be able to kind of attack with both attackers. The reason why we run 3 is because, like I said, guys, netball can search out the grass energy, but it cannot search out the unit energy. And whenever you do have unit energy in your hand, depending on your matchup, guys, you really want to hold it and play it down on Froslass. But if you do have to commit a unit energy to Jumpluff, don't feel too bad. Just make sure you do. Like in those specific fire matchups, you do have a means to attack with Froslass because Froslass is going to become your best friend against those Reshizard matchups. If you get lucky and they're having to attack with it, you just get off 2 attacks and you're good. But yeah, for the most part, guys, this is just a straightforward Lost March deck with just some added text to it. Pidgeotto's in there to kind of increase your consistency a little bit. My phone is going off like crazy and is bothering me. uh, I have ADD, by the way. So yeah, anytime I see anything happening to the side of me, I just immediately lose my focus and start going off on that. But yeah, guys, this is going to be a very straightforward Lost March deck, but on top of that, you just have those techs in here, and Froslass is going to be very helpful for your fire matchups, and Pidgeotto is just going to be in there for some added consistency. And then you have other stuff in here as well. This deck's actually really cool. I like this deck a lot just because I'm a huge fan of Froslass. I feel like Froslass is a really, really dope card, and I've already got the deck built with Breloom. So yeah, I'm working on some deck, guys. I've actually finished another deck last night, so the deck profiles are going to keep going. The next one is going to be Ultra Necrozma. I'm pretty set on that. I'm going to record that as soon as I'm done with this recording here. So I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you do understand that my schedule is about to be a little hectic and just a little crazy. So, I'm going to try my best to keep up the videos. But if you guys are interested in seeing me, what I am going to be busy doing is I'm thinking about streaming Borderlands 3. That's where my busy schedule is going to be just because I'm going to be trying to squeeze in the Modern Warfare beta and Borderlands 3. And so, yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing mostly. And so, yeah, it's just going to be a chance for me to play with my friends and just have a good time. So I'm thinking about streaming it. My link is actually down in the description below if you guys want to go check me out on Twitch. I don't stream really much anymore, but I've definitely been thinking about doing it for Borderlands 3. So if you guys want to hop on over when I'm streaming and ask me Pokemon questions or something like that, you're more than welcome to. But yeah, take care, guys. I love you. Thank you so much for watching. That is going to be it for me. I just clapped. Hope you didn't hear that. This is Epic Pokemon TCG signing out.